we go again. What's trending, presented by Intermountain Healthcare, the official medical provider for BYU athletics.
I'm in the same conversation for weeks.
BYU football stays at number 11, as we anticipated they would in the latest college football playoff rankings. The path to the playoff, with fewer games remaining, is understandably getting more and more narrow and difficult for the Cougars, in spite of only having lost one game at the currently ranked number 5 team in the country, Texas Tech. So today we're going to push this thing forward and discuss all of the ways that BYU could get to the playoff and what is more likely. Jerem, is BYU beating Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game the best bet that BYU has percentage-wise, or is it still a better chance for BYU to get some help from teams ahead of them this weekend, carnage up above, to open up an at-large path?
Let's talk about some of those games before I answer. So number 6, Oregon at Washington. That to me is the most likely opportunity for an upset. Number 7, Ole Miss against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's interesting. They beat Arizona State, remember. Crazy play at the end. Lost in OT to Tennessee and Texas. Mississippi State's played tough against some good teams, okay? Arizona, a ranked team, so that's not a bad loss per se. LSU at number 8, Oklahoma. John Mateer's not been a good passer since the thumb injury. They've relied on the run quite a bit. They beat Alabama somehow with like a sub 300 yards total offense. Number 9, Notre Dame at Stanford. There's no way Stanford wins that game. I'm not even sure why it's on the graphic. And number 10, Alabama at Auburn. Maybe Auburn pulls that. Probably not. So, but I do legitimately think Washington, Mississippi State, with the distractions with Lane Kiffin, and LSU could win this weekend.
It's interesting, and we'll talk about this with Shahan Jayaraja of CBS Sports in just a little bit, but there are a couple of teams that are battling to get bowl eligible in these games, and they're playing on their home fields.
BYU knows this exact scenario against UCF, right?
But UCF's not on their home
them.
field. Mississippi State playing at home, trying to get win number 6. Auburn playing at home at Jordan-Hare, trying to get win number 6. There are plenty of reasons, on top of just wanting to win the rivalry game, that these teams are going to push extra hard. For me, the distraction potentially of the Lane Kiffin scenario for Ole Miss, well, that feels heavy for Ole Miss to overcome on the road against that Mississippi State team, with the Bulldogs trying to get to a bowl game.
Chances are they're super distracted, because chances are he's leaving. And then suddenly they'll be in the playoff if they win, but are they going to allow Lane to keep coaching? When Bronco Mendenhall took the Virginia job, that staff was trying to beat Utah, but they were really assembling the Virginia staff. They weren't super focused on the game. That's not a discredit to them. That's the reality. They're getting ready for Virginia. They were getting ready for signing day for Virginia. So that'd be awkward there. Anyway, what's more likely? That BYU gets help from multiple teams,
or even one of them,
climbs, and then could somehow lose to Texas Tech in a close game and still stay in the top 10? I don't see it. I think it's more likely that BYU straight up beats Texas Tech than it is they get help, climb, and stay in with the loss. I don't see that scenario being better than BYU actually beating Texas Tech. And let's be honest, both of these are kind of less than 50% scenarios. Like, it's super low that BYU gets carnage and climbs and stays in the playoff with the loss to Tech in the Big 12 title game. So BYU is just going to have to match up, man up, and beat Tech to get to the playoff probably, because BYU continues to be on the outside looking in. BYU's 10-1. They have the most wins with the lowest ranking in America. This is tough. The only 10-win team that's this low. So it's hard to deal with. It's been, several weeks now. It is what it is, and it stinks.
It's a 90+% chance for BYU to get to the Big 12 championship game. There's several paths. They all favor BYU heavily. So, yeah, we're feeling good about the opportunity to beat Texas Tech. But what type of chance does BYU have in that game head-to-head on a neutral site? Like, I'm interested to see how the projections will show BYU in that game in Dallas and not in Lubbock. Is it 20% chance that BYU wins the game? 25% chance?
Yeah, I don't know.
Something like that.
It's higher than the other scenario to me.
So because there are multiple games there, the percentages may, with the math in play, suggest that there's a better chance that BYU actually gets some help from one of these teams to have an upset and one of the teams above BYU loses.
Sure, that's not what I'm talking about. If one of these teams loses and BYU wins and BYU loses and stays in, those four
let me finish my point.
Steps?
Okay, let me finish my point. So, like, all I'm saying is there's a better percentage that at least one of these teams drops out and gives BYU a chance to be in the top 10 going into the Big 12 championship weekend. So now it becomes a conversation of, okay, is BYU going to play well enough against Texas Tech to convince the committee to not drop BYU below another team that could potentially come up? And what you're saying is you don't believe that the committee will not punish BYU, even if it is in a conference championship game.
Yes, and what if Michigan beats Ohio State? They'll climb into this conversation. And there's another one. If Texas beats Texas A&M, that could be weird too. So Vanderbilt is sitting there at 9-2 as well, and if they beat Tennessee. So it's not like BYU's immune from someone from behind jumping them either.
But those teams are not going to play in a conference championship game. Every team you just mentioned.
Which would benefit them. BYU might be dinged for playing in a conference championship game. I hope not. If they aren't, then yes. If they get help, yes. But we don't know that. We have no evidence that the committee actually values BYU. We don't. They don't value BYU's resume. Even though, like we talked about, Arizona climbed in as a second-ranked win, as number 25 now, which is great. BYU's resume looks good. Let's talk about some of this. Sorry, did you finish your point?
No, I'm just...
Okay, keep going. Sorry.
My suggestion, and I guess my answer is, and I hate it because it's out of BYU's control. BYU controls their own destiny. Yeah, you win the next two games, you're locked in. And probably hosting a first-round game in LaVell Edwards Stadium.
If you get to 5-8, yeah.
You beat Texas Tech. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the committee would do in that scenario. Like, how much do you reward BYU for if you're number 10 or number 11, you upset number 5 or number 4 next week?
To me, it'd be 8 or 9.
Okay? You would be right on the cusp of hosting a college football playoff game. For me, I'm still leaning just because of the number of different scenarios that could play out this weekend with upsets. I'll give the edge to the potential carnage up above. What if there are 2 teams that lose? Then it's like, ooh, okay, what if? What if that happens? Now BYU's in a scenario where they're number 9 going into the Big 12 championship game. Would that make you feel better about the at-large possibilities if 2 teams above BYU lost this week?
Well, sure, I'd feel better if BYU's number 9.
Would you still think that it's not enough if BYU is at number 9? Because number 10, I hear you. Number 10 is too close to the edge.
It's now, do you compete with Texas Tech? Obviously, if you win, you're in. But what if BYU loses by 10? Do they drop them out with? Once BYU gets a second loss, I feel like the committee will be like, all right, you're behind all these SEC teams that have a better strength of record, more quality wins, potentially,
They're already behind a bunch of 2-loss teams with 1 loss.
I know. So don't give them a second loss. If they come out and say next week we're not dinging teams for playing in a conference championship and BYU's number 9, well, then they should be in. But what if BYU loses again by 22 or worse? Then we would see BYU be out of the playoff. I just don't feel like this committee will reward BYU in some way. Let's look at some of the resumes, okay? So BYU has the best strength of record among Miami, Alabama, Notre Dame. Miami's in the conversation because they crept up to 12, right? They passed Utah. Strength of schedule. BYU, not better than Bama, of course, but better than Notre Dame and Miami.
Yes.
Notre Dame, meanwhile, lost to Miami. So Miami's like, why are we 12 and Notre Dame's 9? Because touchdown Jesus and 4 Horsemen and Joe Montana and Rudy.
Heisman Trophy candidate.
I guess.
Star power.
Eye test. Strength of record. That's BYU's best metric, other than wins, is strength of record. 6. Didn't the SEC scream about this particular metric? Like, hey, and I think
when it's convenient for their argument, then they point it out. Now it's like game control has become that argument for so many teams. Yeah, but we're dominating teams in our wins.
How you win. Yeah. Okay, the ACC tweeted out some graphics prior to the selection show.
Still bad.
That were interesting.
Still bad.
It's all about wins, it says in the graphic. So it compared BYU, Utah, and Miami. Oh, now you got BYU and Utah against Miami. College football top 25 wins. Miami had Notre Dame. BYU has Utah. By the way, BYU has 2 now. Top 10 wins. Miami counts that. 3 top 25 wins at time of game.
The
that doesn't matter.
Oh.
I know this committee has mentioned that it does. That's ridiculous.
It's an absolutely diabolical
idiotic,
graphic.
Stupid.
What are we doing?
Okay, then for the first time in recorded history, I'm going to acknowledge and recognize and applaud content from, wait for it, Cougar Board.
Ooh.
Look at these graphics. It's all about wins. Wins versus teams with 7+ wins. Okay? 6. Road wins, 5-2 over Miami. Road wins versus 7+ wins, 4-0. Top 25 wins. As of today, which is all that matters. 2-1, which is great. Record of teams played on the road, 42-24 versus 16 and 17. I really enjoyed a second graphic that I will just tell you verbally that was included in the 2. They said, oh, and also this stuff. Home losses, 0-1. Losses to unranked teams, 0-1. Strength of schedule, 28-48. Strength of record, Also, losses against each other when ranked number 1, 0-1. Which is really funny.
There you go.
So, nice job, Cougar Board, on that. Nice job.
Last night when Hunter Yurachek busted out the 6-7, I was out. I'm out. Like, I can't. At that point, I can't hear anything that you are saying as you try and justify what is happening.
I think Ben Bagley told us that, was it
I'm out.
Joel Klatt said, hey, when a 70-year-old guy starts doing it on TV, it's officially dead. Like, no one can do it anymore. It's not cool anymore.
In that moment, like, you read the room. No.
Well, the Penn State win. Penn State game for Oregon.
Understand the situation. There are so many teams that are just hanging on every word that you are going to say as you try and justify what you've done. And that is the first thing that is uttered. What are we doing? Okay.
Moving on. NFL draft expert Todd McShay had some glowing things to say about BYU running back L.J. Martin on the aptly named The Todd McShay Show. This L.J. Martin guy is a dude. He's exactly what the NFL is looking for. He's a big physical back. He's a big, bad dude, and he runs physically, and he wears you down. He's got this acceleration of his cuts that is different from backs his size. I believe he is one of the top 5 running backs in the class.
Whoa.
So, do you expect L.J. Martin to be an NFL draft pick in April?
Oh, boy. Let me add something that I think Todd wanted to add to that quote as I answer this question. And he should be viewed in the college football playoff this season.
Yes, that would be awesome. Which, by the way, nice tee for Tonga for L.J. Martin on the celebration.
Okay, Todd McShay didn't say that, but probably would.
Todd McShay, probably.
Oh, man, this is tough. I feel like LJ's such a smart, cerebral dude that he probably needs another year based on what feedback he's going to get to really solidify himself as, we hope, at least a day 2 pick. Right now, like if he went into the NFL draft, I would anticipate that he would be picked in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round, which is great.
NFL Draft mock database, which gathers all the mocks. He's in one mock. Because not a lot of people right now do 7-rounders.
McShay's opinion matters a lot.
He's one of the louder voices. Yeah, Todd's high on him. That's the high. I typically throw out the high and the low, right? That's kind of like gymnastics rule we talk about. He leads the Big 12 in rushing, rush yards per game, 7th in yards per carry, 7th in rush TDs. He's got good film. He's got 3 years of good film. I'm with you. He probably needs one more. Also, I put the bug in his ear Monday to come back. Subtly.
Okay.
We were shooting the film room, and I was like...
Or not so subtly?
Hey, LJ, man, you're going to lead the team in rushing for 3 years. You know what no one's ever done? Lead it for 4. Like, that would be awesome, right? You know, I'm just trying to put the bug in, trying to get him back here. I'm hoping he stays and has another year because I think he can continue to help himself, like you said. There are no running backs who are day 1 guys, period, in college football typically now. You rarely have a first-round guy now. So, yeah, to me, he would feel like, if he puts in another year, like, hey, maybe he's kind of that 4th or 5th round guy, kind of like Jamal and Tyler Algier were. And then now you're on a roster and now you're in the NFL and that kind of thing. I think another year would do him good. I love that Todd says he's top 5 in the class. That is the highest we've heard. I would like to remind people that at one point Jackson Robinson was getting some love like that as a first round guy. Eventually wasn't picked at all. Like, LJ should be an NFL draft pick in the future. But I don't know that it's this next one.
This is not
frankly,
to say.
I want him back because he's really good.
This is not to say that LJ, if given the added exposure of the Big 12 championship game and maybe a college football playoff game, couldn't vastly accelerate his status.
True.
Because everybody now is watching more closely in light of what Todd McShay said.
Yes.
He could play himself into a viable top 5 running back draft pick in a jiff.
And if it happens and he's got 1,300 yards or whatever, I go back to Austin Colley's 2008 and go, it was worth it because he had 1,500 yards and it was a special season for him and the team. It was worth it. Maybe that happens with LJ here and he bounces and he's taken in the 6th and he's off to the NFL. Then it was worth it. We'll see.
All right, timeout on football. Much more to come with Shahan Jayaraja.
We're out of timeouts.
And headlines as we push forward, but we do need to visit number 9 BYU men's basketball and the fact that they are playing in Orlando tomorrow at the Terry's Chocolate ESPN Invitational against Miami. BYU will then either play Georgetown or Dayton, depending on who wins that game, loses that game on Friday. Would anything less, Jerem, than a 2-0 record in Orlando against these teams be disappointing for BYU?
Yes, because Miami's 225-ish in net, top 50 team in Ken Pom BPI. BYU should win that game. Georgetown, to me, is really interesting. They beat Clemson, who BYU plays in Madison Square Garden coming up, and Maryland, who are both top 25 net teams. I don't know why they're 89 in net. Georgetown, led by KJ Lewis, who was at Arizona. Okay, Dayton, 5-1, 4 quad 4 wins. They beat, net 29. Marquette lost to Cincinnati on the road. So I'm thinking it's probably Georgetown if BYU beats Miami. I think BYU should get 2 decent wins, right? These could be quad 1, quad 2.
They're similar to Villanova for BYU.
To me, Villanova's pretty good. I think Georgetown is going to be sneakier than you think since they have 2 pretty good wins. Their strength of record's 5 in college basketball, similar to BYU's 6 in college football. So, yeah, anything less than 2-0 would be disappointing.
BYU will be the clear favorite in both of these games. So, yeah, the expectation is go, play well, win these games, especially with the momentum of what you did to Wisconsin. Go and play well and do your thing, and BYU should come back with a couple of wins.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
don't. Yeah, it should feel disappointing. BYU would be upset.
Tyson Jex, can you bring us back at Terry's Chocolate? I think they're the chocolate oranges that you just drop and they break into the pieces. I think that's the.
Are you a fan of those?
Sure.
Okay.
Great.
Mixed reviews on those in my family.
Sounds good.